Hello, good afternoon. We are in the afternoon. This is like Tuesday. Chris is trying to get these videos up as soon as possible, so hope you're bearing with us here. Hope you Facebook healers there are working on your questions. I think that'd be a lot of fun that we would take off and have some quizzes through the time and really sharpen some forks here, because this is a great way to learn, I think. And then as you're seeing people and working with people, you'll see all this kind of forming into place. I never had anybody that helped me when I first got degreed and wanted to start seeing people. I never had anybody to help me or give me any advice, because you couldn't even find another naturopath back then, hardly. And so I've always thought that it would be a good idea that I would teach other people to how to prepare themselves and how to deal with this, and save a lot of years of up and down and things that don't work. Get them out. Let's going through some of these questions to keep up with you guys. Let's see. Wandering the USA. I like that, sweetheart. Good name. That's about right there. Thanks so much for your comments here. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, and I hope you're having fun wandering the USA. Organic Superman. I've been reading your stuff here, my friend. Thanks so much. Does anyone know if you can juice normal grass? You can juice anything you want. Just as... wheat is not a particularly nutritious plant. So, you can juice anything out there. Whatever a herbivore can eat, you can eat. The problem with this, and this kind of coincides with another question here in relationship to minerals. We have another lopsided view, and that is of minerals, and how much minerals would one need. And the thing is that I think most of the older guys will pretty much concur with this, is that I think if you supplement a superfood blend, something like that, that's actually more nutrition than most animals get. If you stop and think and look at what animals are eating, it isn't heavy nutrition. It really isn't. So I think one of the misconceptions here is that we need all these minerals. And I think minerals got more share of the hoopla than they needed, because they're inferior, their electrical charges are low, they're predominantly inorganic if they're not salted, they're hard to absorb through the bowel wall. That's why they developed chelation therapy, to wrap these minerals with amino acids so they'll absorb better. But things like this, and I think that we go after all these high minerals and zeolites and all these things, and the thing is that they're okay for plants. They really make plants go good. But in the Homo sapiens species, and I think most vertebrates, we're not so much elementals. Each level has its own level of food sources that are more energetic, or depending upon the species. This is all about anatomy and physiology. Looking at that, how the body's set up, how the body digests, what type of body it is, the nervous system in there, the whole 9 yards. And I think that you repetitively see that we're definitely more frugivorish. The problem comes in, obviously, in the lack of quality of good fruit. That's obviously. We send these trees up into the acid worlds with high nitrogen fertilizers, and then we pick fruit unripe. So we can't give fruit a blame here for being bad when we don't grow good fruit, because when you bite into good fruit, you're in nirvana land. You're just in nirvana land. So it's just one of those things. And this is another comment in kind of relationship with Organic Supermans here. Alicia West. One, how do you balance out this fruit diet for mineral needs? The 80-10-10 says that at least 1 pound of green leafy vegetables a day. Yeah, that's a lot of leafy green vegetables considering we're not a herbivorous species. And the digestion of that, you can argue the condition of man's state, but you see that when you're high up on a fruit diet is when you really start getting well. Not when you're on a high vegetable diet. And this young woman or man doesn't digest greens and constipates them. And I've seen this a lot. And that's because it's too much fiber and requires too much digestive needs. We are not real. If you're seeing more undigested food in your stool than anything else, it's going to be vegetable matter, just because it's so hard in the skin of things. And goes back to the pancreas, of course, but then it also is considered the pancreas in a Homo sapien. I look at the primates, and yeah, some of them, the mountain gorillas, are sustaining on the tender greens, which is good, but they are definitely frugivores. They can handle that better, but they are subsisting on these because up in the mountains you don't have a lot of fruit going on. Where you have a more tropical regions, like where the orangutans are, they're exclusively frugivores, and they don't have the bulk a gorilla does, but I'd hate to pit a big old orangutan against a gorilla because they're both pretty bad butts. They're both pretty bad. I'll say this, you have to consider a lot here. You have to consider a lot of things when you're thinking about nutrition, and I think this is real important to consider. And that is, 1, are you digesting your foods? 2, are you absorbing that nutrition? And 3, are you utilizing that nutrition? Remember the 4 things, and the last one is elimination. You should always keep these little things in the back of your mind. Is that individual digesting their foods? Liver, gallbladder, pancreas, stomach. 2, are you absorbing these foods? Are they malabsorbed? No matter what they eat, they can't gain weight. Knocks out hyperthyroidism. What do we got? We got malabsorption. Well, that's a lymphatic problem. So again, malabsorption would mean you're not getting the nutrition out of fruits or the greens. Then you got utilization. Look at the adrenal glands again. I don't know what there's 30, 40 steroids involved in minerals and the utilization of minerals, including iron, zinc, selenium, magnesium, except for calcium. And that comes right up here to the thyroid, parathyroid. So when you're thinking of deficiency, first, these 3 things must be met. Or you're kidding yourself. You're throwing everything to deficiency and ignoring the 3 fundamental issues that most people have trouble with. Most people have trouble with digestion to a certain degree. Less so than malabsorption. Malabsorption is the most popular problem out there, and that's a lymphatic problem. Remember, interstitial lymphatic constipation. Then we've got the 3rd, and then we keep forgetting the adrenal glands and how weak most people's adrenals are. Well, they're responsible for the utilization of minerals, sugar metabolism, and what are we seeing in the world? Mineral problems and all these things, but you don't need much. It's not how much you consume, it's how much you utilize. And we can put it there because it has to go through digestion and absorption first, and then you have utilization. So utilization of your chemistry is key. To being able to even say, well, you're deficient. So I don't run with deficiencies because I've seen incredible work done with the frugivorish diets. So is Arnold Ehret. There's been a lot of fruitarian thinkers in the health field. Carrington, I'm not sure about Carrington. I think at one time he was a fruitarian thinker. He still might be. His works are incredible. There's Carrington. I mean, there's just a whole line of them. But you know what? I don't argue the small stuff. I don't care. But I think that that worry is unwarranted. I think that we should not really put so much worry about how many minerals should we have. Should we have an ounce? Should we have 2 ounces? I think that stuff is too intellectual and will get you confused as you go down that road because you'll keep applying that intellectual thinking to everything you're doing. And pretty soon you'll just get away from health. You'll get lost because of all these ideas and theories and concepts that float out there, and it'll pull you away. And this is what you see. You see people getting trapped, especially the new people that have never entered natural health like this. And keep in mind, some of us have been around quite a long time in this field. We've had time to go through these things. We've had time to learn. Especially in an active practice like this, you are always, especially as long as I've been involved, Jensen was involved 30 more years than I had. That's a lot. So I admire these kind of people that spend 75 years in the health field. I admire Jensen for that, because it takes a special person to handle 75 years of people's pain and sufferings. I'm telling you, it takes a special person, because you have to be able to maintain love and help people, and at the same time deal with all the suffering. And then you get to see what the medical profession has been doing to people, which drives you insane. It just becomes insanity after a while. When people wake up, I have a feeling that there's going to be some serious repercussions in the medical community for what has been transpiring for the last 100 years. Not a good picture. We have been taught it's a good picture, but when you really look into that doorway, not a good picture. And the false sense of things. Need them nowadays, but we need to change things around here. I was just reading something from Canada, that Canada medical doctors are trying to get rid of homeopathy again, and coming down on homeopathy. As long as the medical community decides to come down on naturopathy or homeopathy, then I say they need to go to jail for what they're doing. I'm saying if you're going to come after us medical doctors, then nowadays we're not going to sit and run like we used to. We're going to come after you, because right now you've got a history, and this is what you haven't been thinking about. You have a history now, a paper trail of what you've been doing. And boy, you get in a court of law with a bunch of jurors, and it could be some problems. But to get, to go after homeopathy is so ridiculous, because it's a non-invasive. It's a great system for treatment. What they don't realize is half the MDs from Europe became homeopaths because it's a better system. So, it's sad to see that this is still going on around the world, where the medical community's narcissistic views are thinking they're better than any other modality. Boy, I just, I don't want any karma like that. So please let me remain humble. If I'm not humble, head, two before, bang. Not worth it. Not worth what that's going to bring. For the life of me, I cannot break down greens. So this is the thing, again, just why we develop juice extractors. It just shows you. Why do we develop juice extractors if we can handle greens quite well? Because we can handle greens quite well. So, plenty of minerals, salts in the fruits, berries, and melons. But if you want some salads, okay. I'd suggest if they constipate you, pull out the fiber, juice them, and if you want extra minerals that way, juice them. If you just want to not get involved so much with the vegetables like that, then take kelp as a supplement, or take a superfood blend as a supplement. But all greens are going to have chemistry in them, as everything has chemistry in it. Everything. There's nothing without chemistry. There's nothing without calcium, hardly. You couldn't eat something that doesn't have calcium in it to a certain extent. That's the problem. Most things have nutrition, plenty for what we need. It's just that the needs of a Homo sapiens nutrition is different than that of a herbivore, isn't it? That's why we're designed differently. So when you look at the design, it becomes quite obvious that we're designed more for fruits than we are for vegetables. You could argue more minerals or more this or more that. You could argue that. But that wasn't the divine plan. Now, you can argue we've been omnivores and blah, 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 blah.